Good evening, good evening, good evening. This is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Another day's journey. So glad about it and so grateful for your joining us with another Real Talk with Pastor Waller. I am grateful for the way that you've been supporting these conversations. Obviously, we've already gone through the candidates and we have had an opportunity to hear the issues. Now, I want to talk to you about the stuff that really concerns you and you exercising your right to vote. There's a lot of stuff in the air about the possibility of the SAVE Act. There's a lot of things going on with our voter turnout, even pre all of this foolishness. But everything that we've been talking about with the candidates, with the issues in our community, it means nothing if you don't turn out to vote. All the work we've been doing means nothing if you sit this one out. And there are people, don't get it twisted, there are people who want you to sit it out. So if you are not voting, you're actually playing into the hands of the enemy that would like to turn these yet to be United States back to a time that used to be. I used to hear people say that there are people in Harrisburg that would love to turn this thing around. And when I would hear that 15 years ago, I would say, no, that's not true. There are people that may have differing opinions, but there's nobody that really wants to go back to slavery or go back to certain people not being able to vote. But it's real. It is very real. There is a fear in this country about equality, and there are those who really would like to keep you from voting, keep you from exercising your citizenship. So we want to talk about that. We want to talk about what that has to do with this conversation today. Brother Omar Sabir, who is one of our commissioners, and we're going to learn about what his job is, we're going to learn about what is at stake in this election, and what you're going to need to be prepared to have and to do. So thank you for joining, and thank you, Brother Omar, for being here today. How's it going?
It's great, man. It's always an honor to be here.
Absolutely. Well, we're grateful that you're here. Now, you've been here before, and people know who you are, but I'm going to need you to help people understand what is your job, what is your role, and what's going on specifically this year.
Sure. So I serve as the chairman of the Philadelphia Election Board.
Okay.
And it's a 3-member bipartisan board of elected officials, and we oversee the election functions in Philadelphia County. To keep it simple, the buck stops with us when it comes to elections.
Okay. So you are responsible for how it goes that day. You are responsible for protecting the integrity of the vote.
Correct.
You have responsibility to make sure that all the machines are in place and working, and you are the man. So when we say a bipartisan board, there are 3 people. Who are those 3 people, and what does it mean that they're bipartisan?
Sure. So our election board was established in 1711.
Okay.
So you have 2 Democrats and 1 Republican. And up until about the 1950s, it was 2 Republicans and 1 Democrat.
Okay.
So it can't never be a majority member of the board. So that representation is very critical because we're a bipartisan board and you got both sides of the table assuring that we have a fair and free election.
So up until the 50s, there were 2 Republicans and 1 Democrat, and that probably because that's around the time that the boards actually, Republican Party and Democratic Party actually switched,
Right.
where the racists used to be the Democrats, and then that sort of switched. And so those persons who held those views that we mostly associate with
We have racism on both sides now.
Okay, all right.
Just to be fair. Now.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't want nobody to add a
I got you.
misconception we do. It's just a different way how we look at it.
Okay.
And I think as we talk about voting and we talk up to people, we have to understand that, there's been a system or a mechanism
Yep.
that has been designed since the inception of this country to suppress black people from voting.
Yep.
A lot of people are afraid from the tragedies that occurred to black people that if they ever got in power, that they would do the same things what they did to us.
Yep.
And that's far from the truth. I mean,
Exactly.
we saw plenty of examples where you had African-American leadership. People just wanted to be fair and just live the American dream, just like everybody else.
And thank you for that. And yes, you are right. There's racism on both sides. The point that I was trying to make is that, and I know it's true in recent history, most of us can remember grandparents who were Republican.
Yes.
Because the Dixiecrats used to be what we associate with the Republicans of today.
Right.
So that there was a switching of allegiance in terms of these Republican and Democratic tags. And that's what I was trying to get at.
No, but you know what's interesting? Did you know that the change in the Democratic Party actually happened in Philadelphia?
Talk about that.
Yeah, it was a mayor from Minnesota.
Okay.
And at the Democratic convention here, right at 8th and Lucas,
Okay.
he came and he spoke and he presented, civil rights on the platform and they adopted it.
Yeah.
It was very interesting.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
And so thank you for helping us understand how the board is made up. So what are the issues now? We're all hearing a lot about the SAVE Act, and we're hearing about voter IDs, and what's the real as it relates to, do we need IDs to vote in Pennsylvania? Could something change between now and November? Can you talk to us about that?
So we got May the 19th, that's what's coming up.
Okay.
So I just want to be clear, everybody. The way how you've been voting is going to basically be the same the way how you've been voting. Unless something happens, crazy and unexpected. But as of right now, we all feel confident that on May the 19th, you're going to vote the same exact way how you've been voting.
Okay.
You're not going to have to bring ID. There's not going to be ICE at any polling locations. I mean, everything is basically going to be the same. And it's about a 95% chance that you're going to vote at the same place that you voted at before.
Okay. So let me ask about that. So we're not going to need ID on May the 19th. That
Absolutely
is,
not.
and May the 19th is are the preliminary voting opportunities. So we're not going to need ID. There's not going to be ICE. What could change that? Is there something that the governor or the president can say, and how does that impact you? If he says something, what do you then have to do?
Sure. So the Constitution states that states
Okay.
have the authority to administer elections.
Okay.
So what he's proposing
Yep.
is in the SAVE Act is that there's more federal intervention and they administer our elections.
Okay.
So that's the now only changes you can have with elections is the change in Congress. So as of now, it got passed through the Congress.
Got you.
So all the members of Senate has signaled that they're not going to be supportive of it. So it has to go through the Congress, then it has to go to Senate, then it goes to the president's desk to get signed.
Okay.
That's why, again, this congressional race that we have is very critical, right, when these laws are being passed. So it passed through the Congress. It didn't get passed through the Senate because you need at least 60 votes in the Senate for it to pass. There's not 60 votes in the Senate, so it's not going to pass.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that. But what are the issues facing this particular election that we need to be aware of?
Well, I would say, and this is me, I would say just the belief that we count and we exist. Right now, there's so much misinformation, disinformation that is being targeted at African-American men, young African-American women, to get them to say, you know what, forget this voting stuff, man. I know my grandma, I know my grandpa was always talking that voting stuff, man. The hell with that, man. I ain't doing it. I don't count. It don't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
And that couldn't be furthest from the truth. And what they want to do in the mindset is to sort of get people to give up and have apathy.
Gotcha.
And we have to, what's critical for us is to talk to our family and friends, right? Not just, hey, y'all, voting coming up, send them out a text every 2 weeks. No, we really have to sort of explain to them why it's important for you to vote.
Gotcha.
I talked to plenty of younger people across this country, and the one thing what they're saying is, what's the why? Just tell me why to do it. And then stay on top of me.
Yeah.
That's what they said. Two things. Tell me why, and tell me, you know, what I should do and when I should do it and how to do it, logistics, and stay on top of me. That was it. It was simple. I thought it was more to it than that, Rev, but it was real simple.
Okay.
And I think once we sort of look at that we have the power to sort of make this change happen, then, you know, I think we're going to see the turnouts that we like. We're going to start seeing the policies not being enacted the way they're being enacted. Because right now you have people now that say, you know what, y'all don't vote, y'all don't count. I don't care. I'm going to do whatever the heck in the world I want to do. And that's up, forget it. And we have to sort of be that guiding force for our democracy right now. So that's how critical it is.
Thank you for that. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot just slightly.
Sure.
Because this is an opportunity. You are my nephew. You're Muslim. I'm Christian.
Right.
And we love each other. You know, there are some things about black religion that, and I meant what I said, black religion,
Yes.
that there are parts of it that just look alike and we act alike. Now, one of the dangerous parts of extremist black religion is sort of an anti-citizenship motif. That is, I am so Christian and heavenly minded that I'm not thinking about participating in anything. And that is a strain that runs through Islam as well. I can say unequivocally that sane Christianity does not advocate getting out of political responsibility. In fact, to be a good Christian means to be a good citizen.
That's right.
And we pray for those. And so there seems to be in some parts of Islam this thought that they shouldn't vote or couldn't. But is there any truth to that? Is there any reason that a Muslim would say, because I'm Muslim, I'm not going to vote? Can you dispel that part of the faith?
Sure. So again, when you talk about misinformation, disinformation,
Yep.
right? Again, this is decades. We talked about your grandparents, you know, switching parties, things like that. So there's been a belief that, you know, that we have no place in government. And the thing is, people would just say, hey, you know what? They hold on to something, and then they'll say this is part of our religion, with no proof whatsoever. Because when we look at, you know, people like Prophet, we look at people like Jesus, they were actual leaders of their community. They was not just put into a basket of just being religious. They was administering tax. They was setting up hospitals. They were doing things that leaders do today. And so again, politics it's in Islam. We know that the first constitution ever established was established in Medina when it was a treaty from the Prophet Muhammad to the people that was there, where it was a vote that was established. They actually voted who was going to be his successor. So voting, it plays a part. But again, the disinformation, it goes far. And unfortunately, I believe, and this is my belief, that people are paying, people to tell them to stop voting.
Mm-hmm.
I think that supremacy is coming to say, okay, how can we sort of get these black people to stop doing it? Tell them not to vote, and then tell them it's the religion.
Yeah.
So I highly encourage people to do research, to talk to people and see exactly, why they're saying that they can't vote. But again, there's nothing haram, and haram means wrong, about participating in election process and voting.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you for that, because and again, hear me, I am not saying that Islam and Christianity believe the same thing. I am not saying that there are not some strong fundamental differences. What I am saying is that in black folk religion, at times there can be an ignorance in all of them that separates us out from real, first of all, real relationship with God, and second of all, really getting involved in the community. And so I want to thank you for that, because we cannot afford in the mosque or the church people bowing out at this time.
Oh, absolutely. Because the thing about, we all got to look at it, right, is we're paying taxes no matter which way you want to think about it. Even if you haven't filled out a W-2, you're paying taxes. So that means that you're contributing your money into our budget. So, and legislators, they spend the money. So I know people say, well, I'm against the war, so I'm not going to vote. Okay, take that position, but you're still contributing your money into that pot to pay for these weapons. So is it your duty to say, hey, I don't want you to war? You can say no. And then you have to realize that we're in a democracy, so that even if you're not voting, you are voting. Because if you're silent, that means that you accept everything that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it is. It's either yes or it's no. When Patrick Henry said, give me liberty or give me death, it was either or. You couldn't stand inside the middle. So if you're voting for something, you got to be against something. It's no, I'm just sitting around and everything is all right. If you're sitting down on the sideline, that means that you agree with everything that is occurring right now inside of America.
That's right.
And if you don't say anything about it, then you're just as complicit with everything else. Yeah,
that's exactly right. Thank you for that. So to that, can you talk to us about, now we're out here in the 50th. Can you talk to me a little bit about what our voter turnout statistics have historically looked like in this area or in the city of Philadelphia? Can you give us some understanding of how well or not well we turn out to vote?
Sure. I mean, I'll keep it simple, really.
Okay.
If you drive around the city, any place that look like it's desirable to live at or it's nice to live at, you're going to have high voter turnouts. Any place where you're looking at and say, like, I wouldn't live over there, guess what? Voting turnouts are low.
Okay.
It's really just that simple. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean to oversimplify it, but even if you have a street list, right? We have street lists.
Got you.
And you can knock on each door, and they'll tell you, okay, who's a super voter, who's not a super voter. And you can just look at the condition of a home, even if it's in a bad area. Because there's some people that vote every election in bad areas. And you look at those, man, this house is nice, it's clean, it's immaculate. So it's a whole sort of mindset to be in citizenship and being a part of the American dream. And some people feel that they're not included in it. That's why they don't participate in it. When in fact, if you're here, you're participating in it, no matter who it is.
Okay, so thank you for that. You just used some language. Super voter.
Right.
What do you mean by that? What is that?
So a super voter is typically someone, if you participate in an election every last 5 years. So if you vote consecutively in 5 years, you're considered a super voter. So there's 2 elections every year, sometimes a special election. So that means in 5 years, you participated in at least 10 elections. And again, we don't look at who you vote for. We don't know who you vote for. We just know that you voted.
Okay.
And that's where we can look at the certain areas and say, okay, these areas vote more than others. So to sort of answer your question a little bit more, the top is like Chestnut Hill, Mount Airy, Lower Mount Airy, that Northwest cluster, and then Roxborough. That's like the Cadillac of voting when people look at, okay, who's voting in Philadelphia?
Got you.
That's that little pocket from Roxborough, Mount Airy, Chestnut Hill, and probably Lower Mount Airy. And you say, okay, you know what? This is the area where the most votes come out of the city of Philadelphia.
Really?
Yeah, and then you go over to like Overbrook, Winfield, those areas, and that small little pocket is like where you say, you know what? I want to be in charge of anything in Philadelphia. You got to sort of win those areas. But now what we're seeing is increases in areas that have been gentrified.
Okay.
We're seeing increases in areas in the 46th Ward, that's near University of Penn.
Okay.
We're seeing major increases in the Fairmont area, that's the 15th Ward. We're also seeing jumps inside Center City. So it's starting to really jump, where at a point in time, it was always you had to win that area. But we're starting to see turnouts go down in certain areas.
Okay.
Like, for example, the 22nd Ward, it's up there, but the 50th Ward used to be like 1 and 2, but now we're starting to go down to like the 4s and the 5s and the 6s. We're starting to see other wards emerge. And it's starting to be competitive. And one of the first things I did was we put the information out there.
Got you.
Because far too often there's 69 wards.
Okay.
And all the time you see all these wards, they say, I'm a ward leader, I'm this, I'm that. Okay. Your numbers don't speak like that. You walk around with your chest out, but man. And so we started putting the numbers out there, and some of those ward leaders, they started taking it as a competition. And they started working. And so it's great to really see democracy work, firsthand. But again, the numbers are going down. The 10th Ward is like right next to the 50th Ward.
Okay.
And the 10th Ward is still uptown, but the numbers are starting to go down.
So can you give us an idea, and this is now Civics 101.
Sure.
How does it go? Does it go ward, district?
Okay.
How does that work?
So it goes from, so your ward is like your political zip code.
Okay.
We're talking about doing zoning, we're talking about everything else.
Yep.
This is your political zip code.
So the smallest thing is a ward.
No, the smallest thing is a division.
Okay, smallest thing is a division,
right.
and a division is within a ward.
Correct.
Okay. And how many divisions are in a ward?
Okay, so it varies.
Okay.
The wards are chopped up different ways. So you got some are smaller, some are larger.
Okay.
So a division is basically almost like 2 to 3 blocks.
Okay.
So a division is like 2 or 3 blocks, depending on the way how you sort of cut it all up.
And if you and a committee person is over a division?
Correct.
Got it.
Right, so you got a committee person for one Democrat. I'm sorry, you have either 2 Democrats or 2 Republicans.
Okay.
That are open. But
right.
if it's a vacancy, it's just like a vacancy.
Okay.
So in a Democratic Party, you have about 3,500 committee people.
Okay.
So it's 2 committee people per division.
Per division. Okay. Right. And then those divisions are in a ward.
Right.
And a ward leader
gets elected by the committee.
The committeeman. Okay. Right. So then how many wards, the next thing is a city councilman district, right? Okay, so you've got a number of wards in a district.
Right.
Is that the same amount? How many wards are in a district?
Oh, so it varies the way how they cut up. It all depends the way how they cut it up.
Got it.
Like some councilmatic districts may have multiple wards, and then some that may have a whole ward inside of a council district, so it might be less wards.
So you've got division, a ward, councilmatic district.
Correct.
And then that fits inside a congressional district.
Correct.
Okay. 69 ward leaders.
Correct.
And then there are...
But that's
okay.
So it's like 69 for the Democrats.
Oh, okay.
But then it might be like 30 or so, or 25 on the Republican side.
Got it.
So it's not that many Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
So they might have one ward leader, might be the ward leader of like 5 or 6 wards.
Okay.
Because it's not that many of them.
And so is it fair for me to tell people that the way you turn out to vote is going to determine the political will towards your area where you live? Meaning, if there are not a lot of people voting in a particular area, then the people who are in office deciding where they're going to give their attention is going to be driven on some level by where the votes are coming from.
Well, policy decision, a wise man once told me this. He said that policy decisions are based off of ballot behavior. Say it again now. Policy
Policy
decisions are based off of ballot behavior.
Yeah.
So if said area has a certain level of ballot behavior, okay, we can't just do everything we want to do in that community.
Yeah.
We have to talk to this community because this community is active at the ballot.
Yeah.
And my first priority as an elected official is to be elected. So if the electorate, I can't just do it there because they're going to be mad.
Yeah.
And I will be out, the next election.
So,
and then that will let you, and then it will give you the power, the elected official to have the power to say no to a special interest group because they know, okay, my district is not for that. Sorry. I don't care what kind of money you give me. I don't care what you're talking about. I'm not going to do this because these voters here inside of this district is going to say no, so I'm not doing it. I'm sorry.
So I need you to hear that. That's very real. So if you are tired of potholes, if the snow is not moving as quickly as you think it needs to move, if the things in your community, the response time on the police or the fire department, all of that is wrapped up in whether your section votes at 20% or 70%. What I think my job is as a pastor is not to tell people who to vote for. That's what all these conversations have been. It's not for me to tell you who to vote for, but it is for me to tell you that you need to vote. Your vote is the only thing that lets the city of Philadelphia know that you exist. That's the only thing that lets somebody know that somebody lives in that house. Not that you've got flowers out in front of it, not that there's a car out in front of it, but the last time, and we vote on something every 6 months here in Philadelphia,
That's
right?
right. At least. Sometimes you got special elections that come.
Okay.
So, it's very critical. And I think, we have to really work on the message as to why we do it. Right? Why do so many people go through so much sacrifice?
Yeah.
Our forefathers may have not gotten us the 40 acres and a mule, but I believe inside their heart and in their dreams, our future generation is going to be able to come back and get that. We just got the commitment.
Yeah.
That's why we're giving our life so that way they can vote and be a part of this process. And they was in this process lock and step for the events in this country. And they made a deal. The people just didn't live up to the deal.
Got you.
And so now it's upon us to get that back from, the people that owe it to us.
Wow.
They owe it to us.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to have ownership in it. And we cannot just sit on the sideline and just surrender anymore.
So how does the person, the young person that's watching say, you know what, I think I want to get involved. I think I want to be a committeeman or I want to start. How does someone who's listening today who says, you know what, I'm going to be a part of the solution, how do I start? What's their first step?
Well, the first thing is you have to have a belief of being somebody.
Okay.
You have to believe that you are somebody and that you need to be here. That's the first thing.
Yep.
And after we sort of get to this belief that you do belong here and you can make a decision about your community, if you're as young as 17,
Yep.
I encourage you to be a poll worker.
Okay.
You make up to $295 on that day. I made a shout out to Lisa Daly and Secretary Seb Bluestein. We work hard for our Involved in 17 program where you can serve to be a poll worker. You're a high school student, you're in school, you can be a poll worker. That's the initial start. And you're on the polls from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And you can work like on election day. You learn firsthand everything what elections are about.
Gotcha.
I think that's the very first thing that you should do. I think before you become committee person, you work on an election board. So typically everybody who got their start in politics started
as a poll worker.
Just working on the polls, working on the election board,
Okay.
seeing what's going on. Then you do a good job at that. Okay, now you move up to committee person, and then you can move up to do ward leader, or you can be a elected official. You could be just a regular community organizer, because each one of those positions matter inside our community.
Got it. Thank you for that. I do want to remind you all that I have been doing something literally for the last 20 years, working with pastors around the country, and it's called poll chaplains. And poll chaplains are persons who just show up at the polls to love on people. We're not there for Democrats or the Republicans. We are there, and there's nothing new about this. We're going to do it. We've at time focused on men, but now we're open to women as well. If you're interested in being a poll chaplain, there's no pay. There's just, we show up, we're there, we encourage, we love on people, we're there to be supportive to the judge of elections, and we're there to love on people while they're getting ready to vote. And we're also there to report anything that needs to be reported that doesn't look right. That is not the same thing as poll watchers or any of these other things representing the Democrats or the Republicans. And if you're interested in the poll chaplains program, you can reach me here at the church. And my goal is to have a chaplain at every polling site over this year. So thank you so much for joining us. Omar, is there anything I didn't ask you that you want to tell people before we close out?
Sure. I like to tell people to believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. I know people are telling you that you are nothing, that you are not insignificant. But believe it or not, you do have power. You have influence in your home. And you have to make voting and being a part of the struggle mandatory inside of your house. Now is the time, and our time is now.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the morning as we come to worship God in spirit and in truth. So let's go and have a word of prayer. Have a great day on purpose. God, I love you. I bless you, and I thank you. I thank you for what you are doing in the life of our community. I thank you, God, for those who are recommitting to participating in the body politic. We pray for those who are running for office, and we pray for those who are seeking to serve. And I pray, oh God, that you would help us to make right decisions that bring glory to your name and good to the people. So now, God, as we go throughout the rest of this day, go with us, stand by us until we meet again. It is through Christ, and for his sake we do pray. Let us all say, amen. Amen. Listen, love you much. God bless you. God keep you is my prayer.